Hey guys, Aaron Dorr here with an urgent update for gun owners. I was hoping to wait with this until after Thanksgiving, to be honest, but things are moving so fast right now in D.C., where I've been for most of the last week. This simply cannot wait. So everyone knows why President Trump picked Matt Gaetz to be the Attorney General. If you've ever watched the guy in committee, on the floor, you know the guy is fearless. The guy is ruthless. The deep state, bureaucratic heads, and the radical left are all terrified of Matt Gaetz because the guy never stops going after them in defense of freedom and the Second Amendment in particular. That's why he's the lead sponsor right now of our bill to abolish the ATF. The guy is relentless. So the RINOs in D.C. don't like Matt Gaetz. No big surprise there. And so last week it was announced that Mitch McConnell, let's see who else, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and a new senator, John Curtis from Utah, who replaced Mitt Romney, have publicly opposed Matt Gaetz, at least those four, and they have successfully tanked his nomination to be the Attorney General. Now, I don't know how that's being allowed to happen. President Trump did not just squeak by. He won in a landslide, got the popular vote, took back the Senate, kept the House. This guy should have his picks. But these RINOs are part of the deep state in many cases, and they are now actively trying to block President Trump's picks. So now we have this tier 2 candidate, this tier 2 nominee to be the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi, what do we know about Pam Bondi? Guys, none of it is good. Pam Bondi was the Florida Attorney General from 2011 to 2019. And in that time, she was an ardent supporter of gun control, and she spent most of her time as the AG defending Florida's very, very bad gun control laws, including the ones that were passed in 2018. I'm going to play some clips, so don't take my word for it. But here's what we know. At a minimum, Pam Bondi supports raising the age to buy a gun to 21. That's number one. She supports waiting periods, which we all know get innocent people killed and innocent women in particular raped. Number three, she supports banning bump stocks and probably other firearms accessories. And number four, here is the big one. Pam Bondi fully supports red flag gun seizures in this country. It is terrible, terrible stuff. Here's the first clip. It's very short. It's an overview. Check it out.
Mental health, which is huge. It has a gun violence restraining order in there. It raises the age of purchasing an assault rifle to 21, and it's banning bump.
This woman didn't just have to defend Florida's gun control. She eagerly went all over Fox News and all over the networks for a very long time, proudly talking about her support for gun control in Florida. Now, maybe you're thinking, maybe that was just a mistake. Maybe she misspoke. Maybe she didn't quite know what a red flag gun seizure was. Sadly, no. Clip number two, it's about a minute long. It's going to be a little bit more in depth, but you can hear a very, very thorough defense of red flag gun seizures from Pam Bondi. Check this clip out.
Now, that's a comprehensive approach. I got it. And that's what you're about to do that. Now, yes. There are 24 states that are pushing bills that would allow for guns to be taken away from people who are judged mentally.
I got to cut them off. I got to cut them off right here. He said judged mentally unfit. That's a lie. The whole point of a red flag gun seizure is to allow someone's guns to be taken away before they've been convicted of a crime, before they've been arrested for a crime, before they've ever even been charged with a crime. That's the problem with red flag laws. A mere accusation is treated as factual, and we lose our guns having never even been charged, let alone convicted of a crime. So don't fall for the crap he said about adjudicated defective. That is not what a red flag gun seizure law is. Let me get back to that clip right now.
Now, that's a comprehensive approach that would allow for guns to be taken away from people who are judged mentally unfit. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know whether Florida is one of those states, but what do you think about that kind of move?
Well, here's what we're doing in Florida, because we have to have due process, of course, for those who have been civilly committed. And my office, we've done all the legal research, and here's what our proposal is in Florida. It's called the Gun Violence Restraining Order. And so, Stuart, if you're civilly committed, in Florida it's called a Baker Act, what will happen is law enforcement can and should automatically remove any firearms, because that shows you're a danger to yourself or others when you're civilly committed. Then after someone is released from civil commitment, law enforcement will have 72 hours to go before a judge and ask the judge if they choose to hold those guns even longer if they feel that the person is, again, a threat to themselves or to others.
I want to make sure you heard that part very closely there at the end. Nobody has a problem with somebody who has been committed to an institution, who's been adjudicated mentally defective in a court of law with due process. No one's concerned about that person having their guns taken away after they've been adjudicated in a court of law. But what Pam Bondi just said is that when the Baker Act expires and that person is released and that person is totally free to go about their day, the courts still have the authority to request their guns not be given to them. Guys, the reality is that the Baker Act is one aspect of this, but Florida has a fully functional red flag gun seizure law now. It was passed in 2018, and Matt Gaetz himself, in congressional testimony, told America how over 10,000 Floridians have already had their guns taken away, many of whom were never committed and never faced a criminal charge of any kind. This is lunacy that we are having to deal with an attorney general nominee who supports shredding the Constitution and our due process rights and taking away guns before criminal conviction. I just cannot believe we're here at this point in late November after this landslide victory Trump just achieved. The last video might be the stupidest video. Check out this clip about Pam Bondi's goal to find common ground with the radical left. It's going to make you gag.
And again, this is about finding common ground. That's why nothing ever gets done in Congress, in my opinion. People are so polarized to one side or the other. And, you know, we just experienced a traumatic school shooting in Florida, and it's finding common ground, something that both sides.
Granted, this video clip is a couple of years old, but let's just set the stage here on common ground. The radical left shot President Trump in the head. They convicted him of 34, 35, 200 million, whatever it was, bogus criminal charges. They're trying to put him in prison for the rest of his life. And let's just not forget that same DOJ came after all of us, gun owners, pro-lifers, anybody who was in opposition to Joe Biden's reign of terror. They came after us with everything they had for 4 years. We don't want to find common ground with those who want to disarm and enslave us. We want these people to be stopped. We want the Constitution to be the law of the land again. We want these people to respect our freedoms and leave us the hell alone. And if they will not do that, we want them routed out using the power of the Department of Justice. That's what it's there for. That's why it's critical that we reach out to our senators, especially if you're watching in a red state, and tell them you had better back President Trump's nominees or you will be held accountable. If you are in a red state, Chuck Grassley and Joni Ernst, Josh Hawley, Eric Schmidt, Lummis and Barrasso in Wyoming, what else we got? Young and Banks in Indiana. Wherever you're watching this, if you're in a red state and you've got red senators, reach out to them right away and tell them you better publicly champion Trump's nominees, number one. And number two, when it comes to Pam Bondi, you had better question her very carefully. And if she still supports this gun control agenda, number three, you better vote no on her nomination. And in voting no, we're not voting no on President Trump. Trump is in this position because the RINO backstabbing traitors in D.C. rejected Matt Gaetz. Guys, this cannot be allowed to stand. Take action. We're going to tag your senators in the up above or down below, Twitter, Facebook, email, phone number, whatever we have on them, reach out to them yet this week before you have your Thanksgiving dinner and tell them to get in line and defend Trump's nominee going forward. Guys, much more to come. It's going to be a busy couple of weeks between now and the end of the calendar year. We're going to keep you guys informed. This is our chance to right the ship of our beloved country. This is our time to fix the damage that Joe Biden did. That will not happen if the RINOs in the Senate block his nominees. Guys, take action. We'll keep you informed. Take care.